Welcome to CBC Windsor News at 6. I'm Meg Roberts. Thanks so much for spending part of your evening with us tonight. Well, 5 southwestern Ontario hospitals are experiencing service outages that's affecting patient records and email. Plus, concerns tonight over new weapons detectors installed at Windsor Regional Hospital, with some saying the technology has a high rate of false alerts. And Leamington is investigating the condition of one of the town's most iconic landmarks, the Big Tomato. A massive digital outage has delayed or postponed some appointments at southwestern Ontario hospitals today. That includes facilities in Windsor, Essex, Chatham, Kent, and Sarnia. CBC's Jennifer LaGrassa has been looking into this, and she joins me now live. Jen, what's happened as a result of this outage?
Well, Meg, if you were at a hospital in southwestern Ontario today, you might have noticed that things were taking a little bit longer than usual. And that's because of this system outage. It's really not clear right now what caused it, but that's been under investigation since early this morning. Transform is the organization that manages all IT-related activity for the 5 hospitals in southwestern Ontario, which are all impacted by this outage. So that includes Windsor Regional Hospital, Hotel Dieu Grace Healthcare, Erie Shores, as well as Blue Water Health in Sarnia and Chatham Kent Health Alliance. It has also impacted Windsor Essex Hospice. Transform operates all of the internal systems at these facilities. So that's things like email, any lab results, or electronic health records for patients. As a result of the outage, some patient appointments have been delayed or postponed because it was taking long for certain information to be accessed. So things like your lab results or your scans, for example. The systems went down this morning after Transform said it spotted abnormal activity with some of its software. It's now using a backup system, which is slower than their usual processes.
Their systems are down. That doesn't mean that patient care is affected in any way. So patients are still being seen within the hospitals. It may just take just a little bit longer in order to provide that patient care, but patient safety, patient care is not affected with this outage.
Jen, is there any chance that patient information has been compromised? I know a lot of people would probably like to know that.
Yeah, so Transform says that as a result of taking the information offline, or those systems offline rather, patient information isn't at risk. At this time, the organization is still investigating the cause of this abnormal activity, and a spokesperson couldn't comment on whether it could be a cyber attack or other malicious activity. They're saying that all scenarios are being investigated. None of the 5 hospitals, as well as Windsor Essex Hospice, wanted to comment on the impact that this was having on their operations today, but at least one hospital told me that things were running smoothly, and another said that they were switching from recording information digitally to using paper. Transform is saying that while patient care isn't impacted, if you need the ER, you should really go to an urgent care clinic instead. Right now, Transform tells me that they don't have a timeline for when this will be resolved, but that they'll provide more information when they have it.
Well, thanks so much for that, Jen. That is the CBC's Jen LaGrassa reporting. There's concerns over the effectiveness of the new weapons detection system put in at Windsor Regional Hospital. The system is under scrutiny by the Federal Trade Commission in the U.S. for alleged false marketing practices. The hospital put the technology in last week and tonight is defending its decision, saying it's detected 37 knives in just a matter of days. Dale Molnar has more on that.
We enjoy the partnership that we have with healthcare facilities and now with Windsor Regional.
That was Jason Grellner from Evolve Technologies speaking at a news conference last Thursday where the hospital introduced that company's new weapons detection system. It uses AI technology to detect things like guns and knives. But an independent research firm studied research Evolve had done on their systems and found an alarming failure rate.
They found that Evolve regularly misses knives. It detected only about 58% of knives that pass through the system, and that was at the second highest sensitivity setting. They also found that Evolve only detects ferrous metals. In other words, it only detects what a metal detector would detect in terms of the actual physical substance.
One unfortunate example of a system failure was when a student was stabbed at a school in New York State last year with a knife that got by the system. IPVM also surveyed schools using the system and found it regularly sounds false alarms as well.
We're seeing false alert rates as high as 60% on items like phones, Chromebooks, binders, water bottles. So, 20 to 60% is what we've seen at schools.
Windsor Regional Hospital reports they've only had a handful of false alarms so far. The hospital CEO says if that happens and a person needs medical attention right away, they will be seen without delay. Despite the news of the FTC inquiry, the CEO stands behind the decision to use the system.
It's going to be very good to add another layer of safety for the protection of our patients and families. We talk to other hospitals that have this system in place, and they speak very highly of it. And that includes hospitals like the Mayo Clinic that advertise the use of it and how important it is. Is it going to be 100% foolproof? No, nothing is. There's no detector in the world that's like that. So as a result, it's a very good system. It works well, and we stand by it.
CBC News reached out to the company but has not heard back. It did, however, make a statement while reporting the FTC inquiry to its shareholders. It reads in part, "The company stands behind its technology's capabilities and performance track record and is proud to partner with hundreds of security professionals to add a layer of advanced technology to their safety plan." The company also used to advertise that it provided weapons-free zones and now has walked that back to saying they provide safer zones. It costs $16,000 per month to run detectors at both of the hospital's campuses. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Windsor.
For weeks now, we've been sharing updates with you on the Nathaniel Veltman trial here in Windsor. He was accused of intentionally running over and killing members of a Muslim family in London. Today, he concluded 7 days' worth of testimony. Widad Mezahi has been in the courtroom taking in the trial. She's the communications director for the Windsor Islamic Association. Windsor Morning host Amy Dodge sat down with her to talk about some of the distressing details of the trial and having to listen to the testimony Veltman was giving.
I won't act like it's not upsetting to hear, somebody detailing how they want to kill Muslims, and I won't repeat some of the words that he said, some of the vulgarities even, or slurs. That definitely is upsetting. But on a personal level, I honestly feel really blessed that I'm in a position where I can do something and I can contribute some good in some way. I think that's a general lesson for anybody, that if you're witnessing something horrible, if you can position yourself in such a way that you're able to bring some good or some silver lining to it, then that's honestly the best way to handle it. And it puts you in a place where you feel a sense of resolve rather than any kind of despair or.
The trial is approaching the end. It could wrap as early as this week. What are your thoughts on that? Do you feel a sense of relief coming, or where are you at?
I don't know if relief is the right word. It would definitely be nice for it to be over. I'm just hoping for the best. I mean, we are just hoping that he's going to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. This is somebody who has very clearly stated that they have no regrets, to the police on the record. And it's just ridiculous that he's pleading not guilty. So we'll see how things go. I think it's a lot of trepidation right now. Hopefully relief afterwards, depending on what's ruled.
A bylaw to curb aggressive panhandling in Windsor is once again up for discussion at City Hall. On Wednesday, a report will go to the city's Standing Committee on Public Safety. Administration was asked to study options to issuing fines. However, passing the bylaw is not among the report's recommendations.
As mentioned in the report, there's no quick and easy fix, that we need to address the root causes of poverty and a lack of affordable housing and limited access to mental health and addiction supports. And then only then will some of these societal issues of homelessness and panhandling truly be impacted.
The City of Windsor has been exploring a bylaw against panhandling since July 2022, with the city's bylaw enforcement department questioning how it would be put into a bylaw into action. In the new report, Tanner advises council to continue to support housing and homelessness programs. She also recommends asking the provincial and federal government for more funding towards poverty reduction. The report says a survey done this summer found 50% of Windsor's panhandlers are not considered homeless but do face deep poverty.
This bylaw would give some type of jurisdiction for bylaw enforcement officers to address panhandling, but as the report indicates that we aren't first responders and we're complaint driven. We don't know how enforceable it's going to be until a bylaw is in place. There is no a direct answer as far as how effective it will be. This is something new to Windsor.
The town of Leamington is making sure the big tomato on the corner of Talbot and Mill Street hasn't rotted. Extensive work will soon begin on the longtime landmark to investigate its condition.
So we are getting a contractor in there to do an interior demolition of all non-structural related items that are in there, really so that we can have a closer look at what is the current state of it.
The work is slated to begin tomorrow, with the town wanting to determine how much water damage has been done to the red attraction and how much it would cost to renovate it or rebuild it. The Big Tomato has been around since 1961, and the town is hoping to preserve it even longer. It's undergone repair work and painting over the years. The Tomato once acted as a tourist information booth, but has since sat idle since 2019. The town estimates the assessment work will take about 2 months to complete, and a report will go to town council. Essex Windsor EMS has a new standalone station in Kingsville. Chief Justin Lammer says it's about time.
The old Kingsville station we shared with our friends at Kingsville Fire. It was a single bay. It's roughly 20 years old that we've been in there, so it was time for more. We've obviously grown a lot in 20 years. And just looking at the future, our region's experiencing growth, our call volume is growing, and we need to be prepared to respond to that demand now and into the future.
Lambert said the station was officially online and ready for calls as of about 2 p.m. today. Officials say the 6,400 square foot station is more modern and an estimated 4 times larger than its previous space. It has 3 garage bays, is capable of holding 6 vehicles, and can accommodate a crew of 10 people. Essex County Warden Hilda McDonald says the facility represents a progressive approach by local EMS and was completed within budget and on time. The project cost $4.35 million, with construction beginning last year. A number of developments today in the war between Israel and Hamas. Another convoy with humanitarian supplies crossed into Gaza from Egypt. The Palestinian Red Crescent said 20 trucks entered Gaza carrying food, water, medicine, and medical supplies through the Rafah crossing. It was the 3rd delivery in as many days, each around the same size. Israel said it carried out 320 airstrikes inside Gaza in the last day. Hamas itself released video today of what it says are its fighters launching drone attacks on Israel. On the border with Lebanon, Israel traded fire with Hezbollah, which has support from Iran. There are fears that Hezbollah could launch a full-scale attack on Israel. Here nationally, Canada has wrapped up military flights leaving Tel Aviv, carrying people out to want to get out of the region. The Minister of Foreign Affairs is overseas working to help Canadians in the conflict zones. Meanwhile, here at home, the Liberal government faces calls for a ceasefire. Kate McKenna has the latest.
With these trucks carrying aid into Gaza, Ottawa is still looking to get about 450 people out and to Canada. The Foreign Affairs Minister says there's still no firm commitment.
Evacuation of foreign nationals have not happened yet. And so we're in contact with many countries, including, of course, Israel, but also the US, Qatar, as negotiations are still happening.
Melanie Jolie is in the Middle East, talking to regional allies trying to stop conflict from spilling into the rest of the region.
I think it is important that together we work on a political dialogue to make sure that there is a horizon for peace and stability in the mid and longer term.
But she warns there is concern, especially on Israel's northern border.
For Canadians that are in Lebanon, it is time now to come home.
We are working in preparation and planning for what may be required of us.
The defense minister says the military is ready to help bring home Canadians from Lebanon if things get worse.
We're looking at every eventuality.
The situation in Gaza has grown dire.
NDP leader Jagmeet Singh asked for an urgent meeting with the Prime Minister, calling for an end to armed conflict.
Will the Prime Minister join the NDP's call for a ceasefire now?
We are doing everything that we can to support Canadians on the ground.
Canada's official position is that Israel has the right to defend itself in accordance with international law. The Foreign Affairs Minister was asked repeatedly about calls for a ceasefire, including some from her fellow Liberals. She showed no signs of Canada changing its position. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, it might be getting chillier here in Windsor, Essex, but it's definitely not as cold as Alberta. Central Alberta is seeing the province's first significant snow today. This is Edmonton, where morning commuters were greeted by flurries. But Calgary is preparing for much worse, with up to 15 centimeters of snowfall expected by tomorrow. City officials say they are ready, with crews already out de-icing bridges, roads, and intersections. The good news, no snow in our forecasts. We'll have more details on that coming up after the break. We're in peak migration season now, with species of birds flying over our heads every day trying to make their way south. And myself and our video producer, Mike Evans, got to see that up close and personal. That's a northern saw-whet owl. It's one of the most common owls in forests across North America, but they're seldom seen, especially if you're not looking. Now, the owl is about the size of a pop can. We captured it last night as part of a banding study at the Holiday Beach Conservation Area. The saw-whets are captured in mist nets. They're measured, banded, weighed, and aged. The banders can tell the bird's age by holding its outstretched wing under an ultraviolet light. First-year birds' wings will glow pink under the light. The older the bird gets, the less glow their feathers will have. The process does not harm the birds in any way. The data is used in both scientific research and management of conservation efforts. In 2007, the Holiday Beach banding crew processed a record 119 owls in one night. Nick, I absolutely love banding these birds with my dad in the fall. They're really, really docile owl. Like if you let them go, they'll stay perched right on your hand. You can pet them.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. So you had them, these are wild animals, but you had them in your hand. Wow.
They're very kind of a mild owl. And our video producer, Mike, all those pictures that he took there, he was right up close and personal, and the bird didn't fly away. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, it always is.
Well, next time you're going to have to call me out to do that as well with you.
Sounds good.
For sure. A little cold last night. Tonight, though, things are getting warmer, and in fact, it all starts with this. This rain that you see on the radar image here, it's part of a larger system, and this is the warm sector to the south of it. So there's a warm front that's kind of pushing across, and warmth is the name of the game as we head through the next few days. Would you believe it or not, the temperatures are going to get back into the 20s again. Now, in terms of the precipitation, not much to speak of tonight. I think we'll see a few isolated showers across the region, clearing out by tomorrow morning, though. By tomorrow morning, we're looking at just a little bit of cloud cover and then basically a mix of sun and cloud through the afternoon. Most of the rainfall stays well up to the north, and this system basically continues to track eastward, but we stay in the warm sector for the next few days. By Wednesday, still into the warm air, looking at a few light showers kind of sweeping across the region. Not a whole lot to speak of here, but a little bit of wet weather on Wednesday. And that's kind of the story on and off throughout the week, but the warm temperatures stick around. In terms of accumulations, maybe a millimeter or two of rain. Again, most of the heavier rainfall well up to the north and to the east. Winds are going to get a little gusty, though. Not so much tomorrow morning, but as we move toward tomorrow evening and tomorrow night, we're looking at wind gusts out of the south and southwest, gusting to about 40, even 50 kilometers per hour, higher along the lake shores there, along Lake Erie. Temperature-wise, right now we're sitting at 11 degrees in the Windsor area, so it's actually just a hair below seasonal, but daytime highs are pretty much bang on seasonal. Tonight, though, staying mild, 9 degrees for Windsor, double digits up towards Sarnia, and look at the forecast. 21 degrees tomorrow, and that comes with a mix of sun and cloud. A few light showers, as I mentioned, on Wednesday. Not a whole lot to speak of, though. 18 degrees, back up to 21s for Thursday and Friday. Saturday, though, we take a little bit of a turn. But I remember on Friday, you were dreading the weekend. You were going, okay, give me the forecast. And here you go for this week. It's actually shaped up to be a little warmer than we were expecting.
Loving those warm conditions. Thanks so much, Nick.
You bet.
Well, how far would you or your significant other go to propose? Well, one farmer has spent a year organizing just to pop the question. Have you ever dreamed of launching your own business? Well, turns out fewer and fewer people do. Today in Canada, there are 100,000 fewer entrepreneurs than there were 20 years ago. That's according to a new study that says sharpening certain key skills could help fix the problem. Philippe de Montagny has the story.
After James Lynn lost his job early in the pandemic, he launched Kalu, a pet food maker offering eco-friendly packaging. But with rising costs and stiff competition, scaling his business is no easy task.
It's like being in a maze where you know where you want to go, but you're not exactly sure how to get there, and there's a ton of pitfalls between where you are and where you want to go.
If 3 out of 1,000 Canadians became entrepreneurs 20 years ago, that's now dropped to just 1, according to a study from the Business Development Bank of Canada. Compared today to 2 decades ago, there are about 100,000 fewer entrepreneurs. BDC's chief economist says the strong labor market is partly to blame.
You have other choices. The job market is good, salary has been increasing. So that's another reason why we don't see as many Canadians becoming entrepreneurs.
And for those who do start a business, it's not easy. Nearly 1 in 3 startups shuts down within just 5 years. Yet these small businesses account for a lot of the innovation and job creation in this country.
It's going to be problematic because small businesses make up 98% of our economy, which is astounding.
The BDC study recommends fostering things like resilience, leadership, and people skills, and says those can be learned.
So where are they going to get those skills?
This entrepreneurship professor says these soft skills are not taught early enough.
You look at entrepreneurship now and it's a hot topic, but you don't find it in every elementary school. You don't find it in every high school.
Jobs at big companies.
The president of e-commerce giant Shopify says more can be done to show young people that entrepreneurship is a viable career path.
I also think the best way for us to do that is to role model, is to put more of a spotlight on all these incredibly successful companies here in Canada to show this is possible.
He hopes doing so will help turn those entrepreneurial dreams into thriving businesses. Philippe de Montagny, CBC News, Toronto.
You've probably seen cornfields where farmers showed off their creative designs. Well, one farmer in France used his field for a very romantic reason. You're looking at a surprise proposal in massive letters that stretch about 180 meters. The idea was a year in planning. The farmer used his tractor to create the question, "Will you marry me?" Then he brought his partner of 8 years out to take a look at the field, and a drone flying overhead revealed the message. The farmer didn't stop there, dropping to one knee for the proposal. For the record, his partner said yes. Well, that's it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, you can go to our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. You can also download the CBC News app for stories that matter most to you. Thanks so much for tuning in. Looking forward to seeing you back here tomorrow night.